the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out.
Hello, Miami. Thank you so much for watching 305 Sports Now. I am your host, Will. And I have to say, it is game week, and the Miami Hurricanes will be facing the USF Bulls Saturday night at 7 p.m. And let me tell you, man, it's like a couple, to be honest with you. It's really like a couple. But the USF fans have been very chirpy on social media. It's been quite an interesting ride, especially USF Barstool. Talk about being a little overconfident, especially as you're taking on a team right now that is probably a top 10 off. Not probably. It's a top 10 offense in the country and a pretty stout defense as well. So man, keep chapping away because it's going to be a very interesting evening, I feel, at Raymond James Stadium over there in Tampa as we take on the Bulls. But I want to give you my keys to the game. I want to do this a little bit more often because I want to do some chatter and some talks about how the game is actually going to be transpired. So one of the things I wanted to go over is a little bit about USF. USF is considered a very, very, very potent running attack. They are probably going to be a bit of competition for Miami in this sense. It'll be the first team Miami faces that is a purely tempo-laced offense. It's like they're in a 2-minute drill the entire game, and they ran over 80 plays both against Alabama and also Southern Miss these last couple of weeks. Okay, they have a top 10 rushing attack. I think they're ranked 8th in the country. They have a very dynamic quarterback in terms of being able to get out of the pocket, run for first downs as well. Byron Brown is not the most accurate passer with only 56% completions, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, but they do have a pretty strong running game with guys like Naquan Wright with 33 carries at 188 yards. Of course, there's some split carries as well. They have they use multiple running backs, and they use the quarterback in the running game as well. Naquan Wright with 32 carries, 188 yards, and you have Kelly Joyner, who's a speedster, by the way, 30 carries, 220 yards, 4 touchdowns, averaging over 7 yards per carry. And at the receiver end as well, they have Sean Atkins, who has 13 catches this season. And to say the least, they rushed for 369 yards against Southern Miss this past weekend in which they won. So this is something Miami is really going to have to worry about as far as keeping up with the tempo that Alex Golesh's team is going to bring to the table. But that could also be the downfall of USF, because if you are a quick offense, meaning that you run a lot of tempo and you try to be as fast and get as many plays as possible, if you're not successful, you put your defense in a very awkward position where they'll be on the field a lot more, and it makes them vulnerable in the second half. But we'll get to that in about a minute. So let's go with Miami's defense. What do I think Miami has to do? Miami has the superior athletes. We don't know if Ruben Bain is going to play. But if Ruben Bain plays, it is just another instrument in which Miami can use against the spread offense that is the USF Bulls, okay? Tyler Barron, Elijah Austin, Simeon Barrow as well, Akeem Mesidor. They want to throw in there Justin Scott, CJ Clark as well. They are going to feast and eat off of this offensive line, okay? They're prone to giving up sacks. I think they're like 120s, ranked 122nd in the country in protecting the passer. So they're not very good at protecting their quarterback. Hence the reason why they run the ball so much, and hence the reason why Mr. Brown doesn't have enough passing yards to begin with. But again, they do run the ball effectively. If I'm Miami, honestly speaking, I rush 4. I don't need to really blitz that much. I would throw in the occasional five in there in terms of blitzing, maybe the gap blitz or the corner blitzes, because Miami's athletes, as far as defensive backs go, can cover the receivers, and not only that, the linebackers could pretty much play spy and make sure that Byron Brown does not get loose and beats Miami with his legs, which has been something in the past that Miami has had issues with, which is the mobile athletic quarterback. That being said, I do think Lance Guidry in his second year as defensive coordinator is really preparing his team for that, because I do think that you're going to see a lot of Kiko Mainoa making sure that he doesn't get out there and so on and so forth. So I do think we're going to see a lot of edge setting, and we're going to see the linebackers really eat in this game, especially if they decide to run their quarterback. I think they're going to get paid. If Miami does slip up and does slip up and they do get through, be very careful because USF's running backs are incredibly fast and they are pretty strong as well. But I really see Miami really protecting against the run. They did very well against Ball State last week, and I do think you will see some of the same. Our linebackers are good to win battles against, their offensive linemen and be able to make plays, and our defensive tackles are going to allow them to do so as well. The pass rush is going to be absolutely insane. Miami's Tyler Barron and Elijah Alston and Ruben Bay plays, they're going to destroy the right and left tackles of this team. Okay, everybody else has done it throughout the season. They're in the first 3 games of the season. They're going to do the same. Okay, they're going to do the same. In the end, Miami is the more talented, physical team, and they're built for battle. All right, so if they can get USF off the field quickly, neutralize the running game, which I think they want to do, and force Byron Brown to beat them with his arm, Miami is going to be in great shape because I don't think they have enough on offense to be able to, on offense, especially at the skilled wide receiver position. They will spread Miami out majorly, though, from sideline to sideline, but they do not have the athletes at the wide receiver position, I feel, to compete even with our defensive backs. Even with OJ Frederick, who's been playing out of his mind, if Damari Brown doesn't play this game, OJ has been handling and has really stepped up his game as a true freshman and has been playing like an elite cornerback. All right, so Mish Powell as well, Jared Harris as well. You have, of course, you have Daryl Porter Jr. as well. We have ballers out there, and I do think the Canes are going to pretty much neutralize the offense. They will score. I do think USF will get in the end zone. They will. It's not going to be a cakewalk. They are at home. I think they will get in the end zone, but I don't think they'll put up a lot of points against Miami's defense, especially with the pass rush coming in. If Miami could force passing situations, USF is dead on arrival, because that means that the Ferraris that are Tyler Barron, Elijah Alston as well are going to feast upon, and let's not forget, throwing in that occasional linebacker blitz in general, they're going to feast off of this offensive line and pretty much take care and neutralize that spread tempo offense, which will weaken and soften their defense as the game goes along. Now, I want to go over the Miami offense a little bit because I have a lot to say. Online, they've been talking trash about Cam Ward and so on. Cam Ward is going to carve this defense up. I don't want to be that cocky because their defense does have athletes, especially in the front 4. They can get after the quarterback. They got after the quarterback against Alabama. Mr. Milroe was sacked a couple times, so they could rush the passer if our lines do not hold up. But I do think Miami will win most of their matchups this game, and Cam Ward will be able to deliver the ball effectively. So what I suggest, and I think, is early in the game, you get the ball out quickly, get these guys out in space, let Xavier Restrepo eat, let your tight ends eat. They're very vulnerable. The pass defense is really poor for USF. They're very vulnerable to vertical passes. If I'm Cam Ward, if I'm Shannon Dawson, I call the offense going downfield, hitting your tight ends in space, hitting your slot receiver Restrepo in space, and then leaving into positions where Jacoby George could just tear this team apart, or Sam Brown, or Zay Horton as well, or even the tight ends. Leak your running backs out there. Make the linebackers cover guys like Chris Johnson, David Martinez, and even Mark Fletcher, who looks like he has a little bit more of a burst to his step. Miami's pass protection is solid, even with the running backs. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 are solid. Are solid pass blocking. Martinez, Fletcher, and Lau could all block. They could all block. Okay, so if you send an extra attacker in a blitz, you're done, because Cam Ward will carve you up and eat you alive. Okay. Now, as far as I forgot to really go over the defensive backs. Yes, I don't think they're very good in pass defense. I also think Miami will win one-on-one matchups. So one thing I noticed when I looked at the film is that the defensive backs for USF, when they're in one-on-one against solid athletes, they don't do very well at tackling in the open field, the open space. So Miami will have to use that to their advantage. They will have to pretty much catch the ball. If it's one-on-one, beat your man and take off and make the safety beat you, or the other cornerback beat you, tackle you as well. That's the one thing I think Miami should really do and really focus and really emphasize on. So that's what I think. Now, what I suggest as Canes, for the team, to be very careful, because they do gang tackle pretty well. They do decent gang tackling. And there's one guy, if there's 3-on-1, who, when they bracket the receiver with the ball or the running back, there is one guy that's going to put his helmet on the ball, and they do know how to force turnovers. That's the one thing I will let Miami fans know. this team can force turnovers, and if Miami's not careful, if they don't have ball security, they can force turnovers. They did it to Bama. They did it to Southern Miss as well, okay? So if you see yourself surrounded by 3 guys, make sure you cover that football well, because one of those guys is going to put his helmet on the football and try to jar it loose. So make sure ball security is very important and key to this game. So if they catch the ball, get your first downs, chop, 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 and keep going. In the second half, especially if the play count might be a little high, it's not, I'm sorry, not the play count, but if Miami's able to get USF off the field quickly, because there's a lot of third and outs, they're not moving the ball as they need to. Since they go so fast in the second half, smash. Let Damian Martinez loose, okay? Let Fletcher loose, let Lau loose, and let A.J. Allen loose, who's been a dominant runner these last 2 weeks, okay? That defense is going to be exhausted having to chase those Canes around and constantly getting mauled by the much bigger, more physical offensive line of the Miami Hurricanes. Let your running backs eat. Feed them. They will not stop you. Then, therefore, you could put your stamp in the game and done, okay? Rest in peace, USF. It's over, all right? And the Miami Hurricanes will dominate this game on both sides of the ball. I predict Miami Hurricanes winning by more than 20 points. I do predict Miami will get to 40 because we have – who's going to stop Cam Ward on offense, okay? Picking apart everybody. There's too many weapons on this team. Last week, he threw like, what, 10 or 12 different receivers? You can't stop this team. So have your fun, USF. Do your trolling. Have fun on X. Do what you need to do because on Saturday, the big boys are gonna put those pads on, get that helmet locked in, and we'll see who's the best player, who has the best team on the field, and who is the reigning king of South Florida, or Florida in general, all Florida in general football, which is the U, baby. Guys, if you like what you heard, please do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and share button, guys. Stay safe. God bless. See you soon. Go Canes, guys. All about the U. All about the U. Bye-bye, guys. Take care.